This is Journeys with Ryan Frank. Conversations about culture and the issues affecting First Nations people in BC. Brought to you by Prince Rupert Port Authority, linking a world of opportunity. Online, rupertport.com.
On tonight's episode of Journeys, I have the Acting Superintendent of Schools for the School District 82, Janet Meyer. Now, she has been in this position since, I believe, June of 2019, and she had to deal with a lot of stuff going on then, with a couple principals that were supposed to be moved around, caused a lot of backlash and problems for the school district, and she was the one that got to help deal with all of that. And then right after that, this spring, we had COVID-19. So she has been dealing with a lot of stuff in the last year and a half here. And she comes on to Journeys to talk to me about what they exactly is going on with those principals, but also talk about COVID-19 and what's happening with our kids in our schools. So let's get right to it. Here is my conversation with Janet Meyer, the Acting Superintendent for the School District 82. Welcome to Journeys. Thank you for taking the time to speak with me today, Janet. Maybe you can start by saying what your role is there.
Thank you, Ryan. It's a fantastic opportunity, and it's good. I'm thankful to have the opportunity to spend some time with you. My name is Janet Meyer. I'm the Acting Superintendent for Coast Mountain School District. And as you know, our school district covers the communities of Stewart, Hazelton, Kitwanga, Terrace, and Kitimat. And I have been the acting superintendent since late July of 2019.
Okay, now I want to talk about that because it was a bit of baptism by fire, I think, when you first started that job or this role as the superintendent. I know there's 10 schools, I think, within your school district. I'm not sure the exact number. 19 schools. Okay, so I saw 10 listed on the website. I wasn't sure if that was correct or not. So, but let's move. So you were working as an HR manager in the school district before this role, or what role were you in prior to the acting superintendent?
I was a director of instruction for curriculum.
Okay.
Prior to, and then I was very briefly the director of instruction for human resources.
Okay.
For not very long, prior to moving to the acting superintendent position.
Okay, and now can you tell me what a director of instruction is?
We have several different directors of instruction. So we have a director of instruction. Basically, it is we have directors and their work is differentiated. So for example, we have a director of instruction whose responsibility is that of early learning and Indigenous education. So that's one director, Agnes Casgreen. We have a second director, Geraldine Lawler, who is the director of graduation and innovation, which is the position I vacated in the spring of last year.
Okay.
Then we have a director of instruction for learner support, which is she is solely responsible for our students with unique needs. And then we have the director of human resources, who is responsible for human resources.
Okay. So now I did allude to it a bit, the whole baptism by fire when you first started. Now back in was it July, you said, of 2019? It was shortly after there was, I think the vice principal and the principal and another principal from another school were all going to be reassigned. And a bunch of students got really upset about it, and some parents got upset. There was a lot of backlash against the previous superintendent and the school district, really. And then you had to come into that role. So what was that like coming into that situation?
It was a challenging situation. There's no doubt about it. I can't put it any other way, and it has been challenging since all of that began.
Yeah.
But I'm very pleased with the trajectory of our district and the work that we've been doing to put processes in place that will look different in the future. We have the Board of Education brought in an independent consultant, as you may or may not know, by the name of Diane Turner. And she created a report that included within it a series of recommendations for the district to consider moving forward that would address issues such as principal, vice principal reassignment, which would address things such as the need for trust building in the district and the rebuilding of relationships between people. That she also addressed issues around communication.
Okay, yeah.
So there was a series of recommendations made by Diane Turner that is very much prior to March the 17th, aka COVID-19, that was very much focusing our work in the district.
Okay, yeah. So like that, ultimately, this comes down to relationships, which you've already mentioned was in that report. I mean, I think a lot of times we get caught up in our organizations and just process, and I feel like sometimes we forget that the core of all of our business, doesn't matter if it's education or economic development, it's really relationships, isn't it?
Indeed. Our greatest resource in this school district, and in my opinion, any school district, is that of our human resources. It's the people with whom we work and the people with whom we interact, our parents, our community members, our Indigenous bands. That's what makes us good. And that's what makes us solid and provides us the foundation that we can move forward and focus on students and learning.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's a good point, and I'm glad that you realize that too. I mean, obviously the report kind of said that, but I think you probably already knew that in your role with dealing with the HR for a short period of time, or just in an organization. It's all about relationships, and so that whole situation with those principals, that was put on a 1-year hiatus. Is there any update on that for parents that maybe are interested in that?
So that 1 year. That 1 year hiatus, as you refer to it, has been canceled, if you will.
Okay.
And we are moving forward from where we were last spring.
Okay.
So the reassignments that were proposed in May of 2019 have been canceled.
Okay.
They will not. The original motion by the Board of Education was to postpone them for a year to give us time to look at process, etc. Over the course of this year, the Board of Education has said status quo, people stay where they are, and let us do the work that we need to do in terms of the relationship and process, procedure, collaboration, communication.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, well, that's great news. Because I do know, actually, I think I know all three of those principals just because my son went through both their schools, played hockey actually with a couple of the ones from the other school. So I know those people. I'm sure it was it was obviously an upsetting process for everybody. So I'm glad that that's kind of been just reset, and let's rebuild, I guess, is kind of where you're at now too, right? So
that's a great way to put it, Ryan. The reset button has been pushed and was pushed a little bit earlier in this school year, and it gave everyone time to take a deep breath and to just gather ourselves as an organization again. And as you know, not only are we working with people from within our organization, our employees, but we're working with our communities as well. We've done community consultations in all of our communities between September and now. We've done them with the public, and we've done them with teachers-only consultations as well. We've also met with the association called the Coast Mountain Administrators Association.
Okay.
The Board of Education has also met with the executive of the Coast Mountain Teachers Federation to have conversations around the past and specific concerns that they had during that time, and gave people an opportunity to have their voice heard. And some of those parent consultations, or public consultations, I should say, as well as the teacher consultations, were extremely powerful.
No, I bet.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when you get everybody in a room that are passionate about something, oh, look out! You can feel the energy in the room.
Yes, yeah, it was emotional, to put it mildly.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about our children, our future leaders, right? So it's important that they're taken care of, but also the people that are teaching them, because you know as well as I do, there's always those few teachers in your life that have literally changed your life and how you view the world, and it really comes down to that one-on-one relationship that you built over time going through their school, right? So it's super important.
It is very important, and we often talk about significant adults in the lives of children, and the very, very important role and the long-lasting role that they play. I can give you a personal example. You know, when you create an account for something and it asks you for a password reminder question,
Yeah.
one of them is often, who was your favorite teacher in high school? And that's one personally, and people who know me will automatically know the answer, so they'll be able to hack into my account. That just goes to the point of how important the relationship between educator and student is.
Yes.
And the potential that we have as adults in the lives of our children, the potential we have to have such a positive impact. And so for our employees, our support workers, our teachers to be as healthy and satisfied in their work environment, that plays into the achievement, the academic and social emotional achievement of our children as well.
Yeah, definitely. Now, Janet, it sounds like you did a really good job handling that. I mean, obviously you got the third party involved, which was great, the independent investigator. I always say a good test of a leader is to test them not when everything's great, but to test them when everything is not going great, the chips are down, and I think for you, I mean, it sounds like you're doing a fantastic job. And then all of a sudden, I would say middle of March hits, just before spring break, and everyone's world just gets flipped completely upside down. I mean, it started with a few notices coming out of major cities about COVID-19 and whatnot. So you get facing another challenge right away the next year after dealing with that. And really, like you said, you're still dealing with the relationship building and resetting the relationship of that issue we just talked about. But then COVID-19 hit. So take me to the moment when you first started hearing about it. And then what was the reactions going through your departments and your staff and your teachers and all that stuff?
So Ryan, I just want to back up for a second and comment on something you said around doing a good job.
Yeah.
I would like to tell you that regardless of people's opinion of the work that I am doing,
yeah,
I am only one of 600 or 700 people, and I view myself as such. I mean, I hold a different position, and I have a certain set of responsibilities and deliverables, if you will, to the Board of Education, but I am one person, and I am supported and surrounded by people who are also doing the good and the hard work. And it is without those people, and by that I mean everybody, our custodians, our IT department, the directors that I made reference to. So it's about team. It's not about Janet Meyer.
Yeah.
It most certainly is not. So I wanted to clarify that for you first. And this, to answer your question, I was in Mexico at the end of January and the beginning of February with my mother.
Oh man,
and
okay.
We started hearing something going on in China, and I started thinking, oh my. And I was corresponding with work, of course. And on our return, we were at YVR. We experienced many people sporting masks.
Yeah.
So my own anxiety started at that time to be elevated, but the true impact was probably the Thursday or the Friday prior to spring break starting.
Yeah.
And I was not here. I was out of town, but by the Tuesday of the next week, we knew that things were going to go sideways, if you will, or things were going to start to happen and I returned to Terrace.
Yeah.
And I believe that was a good choice because we had much work to do. As soon as on March the 17th, Rob Fleming, who is the Minister of Education,
yeah,
suspended, as per the orders of Dr. Bonnie Henry, suspended all in-class instruction.
Wow, yeah. So big day. That was a big day.
I never in a million years would have ever predicted something like this. It would have never crossed my mind that something like this would happen in my time as an employee.
Wow, so it was crazy, right? And it happened so quickly. Like, I can't even imagine. I mean, maybe not quick enough, right? Because in January we started getting messages, I think, well, not us, but government officials may have heard back then, and we just didn't get anything going until, like you said, March. And I think CFNR, actually, we were going to go down to Kelowna for the junior all-native basketball tournament.
Right.
And the Thursday, I was like, okay, everything's getting canceled. It was like 250 people or less. And I'm like, I can't imagine them going ahead with it. It was right up till Thursday evening. They had a meeting with the coaches, with the First Nations Health Authority. And I talked to Dr. Shannon McDonald, the deputy health minister, or not deputy health minister, but she's the deputy, what do you call it? I can't remember, for FNHA. And she was the one on the line, and she said, I was the enemy of everybody, and I had to tell them they should probably cancel this, right? And that, of course, they made the right decision. And because right after that, I went down to 50 people or less. All travel was suspended. The U.S. shut down outside travel. Everything was going crazy, right? So you guys had a week of spring break, and is that when you guys just really kicked into gear for starting to plan what you're going to do for after spring break and into the future?
Yes. So during the 2 weeks, we have 2-week spring break.
That's right.
So by the time I was back in Terrace, things had started to happen here already. Our IT department, because we were able to foresee the need for massive amounts of technology where possible. And by the time I got back, our IT department was flying and working at a pace that one can only imagine. So we had the period of 2 weeks where our teachers and our support workers and our students were on spring break, where we could put some foundations in place that when people return to work on the Monday, I believe it was the 30th of March, that we would have some training prepared for them, some in-service ready for them, some tools that would be at their disposal so that they could take the time that they needed, given the level of anxiety that was out there, to prepare to provide instruction to students remotely.
Okay, so now that, to me, that would take probably a year to plan. Like it would take probably 6 to 12 months in my head to get everybody on the same page from and you're talking, well, maybe not kindergarten so much, but all the elementary grades all the way up to grade 12. That undertaking, which must have been like at first, you probably had no time to even think about it. You're just like, let's just go ahead. We got to do it, right?
We had to do it, and in all fairness, we had at the time we had very clear direction from the ministry in terms of our autonomy as a school district to approach this challenge in certain respects the way that we felt it was appropriate for our school district. Because as you can imagine, our 5 communities in our school district are extremely unique.
Yeah.
So are the 60 school districts in the province. They are extremely unique. So credit to the Ministry of Education for recognizing the professionalism that exists within each school district to allow us to meet this challenge head on in a way that meets the needs of our school district. And Ryan, as you mentioned, this would have normally taken a year or 2 years to roll out.
Yeah.
That's exactly true. I don't know how long it would have taken for us to get all of our teachers in our school districts working on a virtual platform, interacting with their children in a virtual way. In 4 weeks, we did it.
Holy man.
2 weeks in spring break when they weren't technically working, which I know some of them were.
Yeah.
And 2 weeks after spring break, the time that they were given to prepare, that would have taken us years. The rollout of the technology that the IT department did was a rollout that we had planned that would take over 8 months.
Yeah, gee, man, that's crazy. Well, it's a testament to you and the workers that you said, to all the 600-700 people that are part of the school district. It's another testament to them and their ability to step up under pressure too, right? So, so where are we at now for the students? Like, where do parents and students? I mean, I know they've already got packages. Most kids from their teachers, they get all their stuff. I think was given to them from their lockers, even like.
Yep.
So what is exactly happening with the students and the teachers? And if parents do need to find out more information, what should they know?
Well, what it looks like for individual students. I just mentioned how the Ministry of Education allowed us the autonomy to attack this challenge head on as we saw fit. Classroom teachers have the autonomy always to choose not what they teach children, but how they teach children. And that's true during this time as well.
Okay.
So you will have, if you know 3 or 4 children in our communities, you may have some of them using Microsoft Office 365, and they may be doing what you and I are doing right now, just on a different platform.
Yeah.
In the very near future, I hope like within the last 5 days, but it hasn't happened yet. There's a new Canadian version of Zoom, the platform that we're using right now, but a safer, more compliant version of Zoom will be at the disposal of our teachers.
Okay.
We also offered Moodle training to our teachers, and Moodle is a platform that is used by distributed learning schools.
Okay.
We also are using FreshGrade. FreshGrade is an online platform, a communication platform, a feedback platform, an assessment platform, a portfolio, so to speak, for students to use. So there's 4 options right there. And then the one option that people are using as well are hard copies and deliveries of materials, because let's face it, we have an equity of access issue in our school district, as do many school districts. We did a survey at the very beginning of at the end of March. We did a survey for our families to say, hey, what do you have? What do you need? How can we help you? What's the best way to get in touch with you? And from that, we discovered that we have families that do not have technology, and they are either in need of being provided with some technology, and we've been working very closely with our Indigenous bands and our partners and ourselves to address that issue. In addition to that, there are individuals who didn't have broadband or Wi-Fi access.
That's what I was going to ask you next. Yeah.
So as I referenced, our Director of Instruction for Indigenous Education, Agnes Casgrain, and our IT department have been working feverishly to ensure that we are putting devices in the hands of our kids who need them. Will we, by the end of this, will we have a device in every single student's hand who needs one? I hope so. I'm not entirely optimistic that we'll have 100% of that, but I can tell you that when I looked out my window this morning, Ms. Casgrain's truck was being loaded with laptops, and she is driving them to Hazelton Secondary School this morning.
Oh man, that's amazing. I know, like, I've worked in First Nation communities. I worked in my own First Nation community. I've dealt with education. I've been on symposium groups where we're trying to address the issues and barriers to education, and that was always an issue, was access to devices, but even just access to internet. Like, you just even having internet in their house. Is there going to be something with that? Because I know, like, if they don't have internet in their home, this is all a moot point then, right? Exactly.
And we were in touch with several service providers to find out what, if anything, could be done with that. It's not our place.
Yeah.
Excuse me, to venture into the homes of people.
Yeah.
But I know that Agnes was collaborating with the bands, and they were doing work to provide the internet.
Yeah, because I mean, maybe they put something like, I mean, this wouldn't be under your portfolio, it'd be more under the Minister of Education, I would think, or something like that. But maybe they have some sort of Wi-Fi access that's school district access, and students are given a password to access that Wi-Fi or something like that, right?
Yeah.
But that's also an issue too, because then you got kids hanging out at your school after hours, listening to music or doing whatever. I can't remember.
Exactly.
Yeah, so that was an issue too. I know that the devil's in the details, as always.
For sure. And you know, people are fearful too, because when you give children access to Microsoft Teams, kids are smart.
Yeah.
They're smart.
Yeah.
And they could make the choice to get up to things that are not necessarily the best choices, and from there comes shenanigans and whatnot, and we need to be prepared for those. So we're confident in the platforms that we're offering, that we can limit the permissions that we give students.
Yeah.
But that brings in a whole new debate too around, do you lock things down
Yeah.
so that they can't even use them, or do you provide them with the information and teach them how to use platforms or technology in an appropriate way? And my personal bias is towards the latter.
Yeah.
I would prefer to put the tools in the hands of children and teach them how to use them appropriately.
For sure. I'm with you on that one too. I think if you teach them the right way, then to respect it, I think it's much better that way. You talked a bit about the anxiety around schools, and I mean, when it all started, not just with schools, but just being around people, being in big groups, I did hear some stuff about potentially school coming back before the end of June. May potentially was targeted. What is the date that maybe you guys are hearing or working around, and what type of plans are you going to, because I mean, what type of plans are you going to put in place to come back? Because there's still going to be some anxiety. Parents are going to be worried. Communities, like you're talking about, there's some remote communities, and some Indigenous communities have decided to close their communities to outside people too. So there's a lot of different things to navigate there.
So Ryan, as we are speaking on a different screen in my office,
Yeah.
there is a meeting going on between a director of instruction and a focus group of principals and vice principals. And we are having that very conversation around what could it look like for us to bring small groups of students based on need back into our schools in a safe, gradual, patient manner. Okay. We will not jeopardize the safety of staff. We will not jeopardize the safety of students. We will ensure a clean, sanitary environment. So I can't answer your question right now,
okay.
but I can in the near future, let's say in May sometime, see us moving from providing childcare to essential service workers off-site, because we are providing childcare to tier one essential service workers' children at a daycare and terrace.
Okay.
We plan on moving that service back into our schools, perhaps as early as May the 4th.
Okay.
And from there, we're going to explore the possibility of bringing in small groups of students. But if I were a grade 8 middle school teacher at Skeena Middle School, for example, I would not anticipate that I would be face to face with all 30 of my, or 24 of my children at the same time before the end of June. That is not a direction of the ministry. I'm not quoting Dr. Bonnie Henry, nor am I quoting Rob Fleming. I am giving you a Janet Meyer opinion.
Okay. Now I'm looking at it too. Like I would think that discussion that you referred to, I mean, priority. I mean, I think grade 12 kids probably should be a priority as far as getting them back into the school in manageable sizes. I think maybe even a rotating thing where it's like you have the online education combined with 1 day a week, maybe of face-to-face instruction in small groups. I mean, I can't imagine what it would look like. There's probably so many options out there. I don't
There's
even
so
know.
many scenarios that we could run, and so with every scenario comes so many questions
Yeah.
that people want us to have the answer to right now. And I'll give you an example: busing.
Yeah.
Busing is significant in our school district. So if we were to bring in small groups of students, and remind me to go back to the priority that you mentioned.
Yeah.
What would it look like to provide busing to those students? So with every scenario or every idea comes 10 times the number of questions.
Yeah.
And that is what is going on the other screen in my office at this moment.
Come on, Janet, just do it. Get the job done here. That's easy, simple.
What's wrong with you? I hear you. But going back to the priority, the Ministry of Education has clearly identified our work, and our priority must be around providing supports, whether they be childcare supports or in-school supports to the children of essential service workers. So right now we are focused on Tier 1 essential service workers. As I said, in May, we are going to go into the Tier 2 group of essential service workers, which includes more along the lines of law enforcement and safety individuals in our communities.
Man, this is just crazy stuff, isn't it? Like, what are we talking about right now? Childcare for our essential workers and by the school district. Like, it's just, it's a whole new world for sure. And you're talking about the priority.
Let me blow your mind a little bit more.
Okay.
Not really blow your mind, but breakfast and lunch programs.
Oh, yes.
For our students, they are also continuing.
That's
so
fantastic.
They don't look the same, obviously, as they looked before. But as an organization, we are in partnership with community organizations like food banks, Starfish Backpacks, Kermode, and we are, as a school district, either to individual bands, we are supplementing them with some finances that will allow the provision of some food to our families as well.
That's so fantastic to hear, Janet. And, this kind of program started, I think, like when I was in like elementary, high school, many years ago. We're not going to say how many, okay, Janet? But I remember it starting back then because some kids, they were just the school districts were starting to realize how many kids were actually coming to school without any food. And they'd go home and maybe not even have food then either, right? And so nowadays, that program, I think, is relied upon by so many kids just to make sure they get fed so their brains can start learning properly, right? And the fact that that's happening is just amazing. So I want to give you a big thank you for you and everyone that's continuing that work.
Thank you very much. And like I said before, it's not necessarily me. I mean, we're in partnership with all kinds of organizations, whether it be Rotary or, as I mentioned before, Breakfast Club of Canada, all of those. And people are putting their heads together and working together around this too. I know principals and vice principals are coordinating their efforts in terms of grocery store gift cards. Where are we buying them from? Let's make sure we distribute the wealth and buy from different places so that we support the local economy as well.
Janet, maybe one last question for you is, do you have any last message you would like to give out to maybe the parents and to the kids, and then maybe another message to your staff and all the teachers that are involved in the school district?
A message to the children and the families would be to, for them, first of all, to stay safe and to exercise the safety precautions that are being put out there. Wash your hands regularly, all those things. But take this. My advice is to take this time as a family, and take care of yourselves. It looks different in different homes than it does down the street, and what a family is able to accomplish in terms of the learning piece. It's going to look different, and that's okay. If you can't accomplish what you need to accomplish according to the outline that was sent home, be careful with your family, and family comes first.
Yeah.
And while this is a very, very challenging time, like it's hugely challenging. I met with DPAC last night, Ryan, which is the District Parent Advisory Committee.
Oh, okay.
And we were talking about wellness, and we were talking about their concern and our concern around the mental health and the awareness that people may have experienced previously or are experiencing or may start to experience challenges in that area, and what supports are available for them. So I would direct people to our website. We have a specific COVID-19 tab on there.
Okay.
So I address that, and that's a huge concern for us the longer this goes on. The second piece around that for families is I articulated to the DPAC last night. My children are in their 20s, 25, 23. I can only imagine what it must be like for them all day, every day, especially if you have 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 children, and what that looks like. And the last thing that we want to do as a school district is to burden them and overwhelm them and jeopardize the well-being of their family. And our intent as educators is to provide a continuity of learning, but not to the point where we drive families, family fights over the dinner table or whatever the case may be. So just for families, just to be careful and make decisions based on your family that work for your family.
Yeah, for sure. And then the second part was the staff and the teachers out there. What message do you have for them?
I do have words, but I don't think that there are words in the dictionary or that I am capable of communicating that would adequately thank them enough and articulate the respect I have for them in terms of the work that they've done. They've been through the ringer in the last 3 weeks, and over their 2-week spring break as well. It was a highly stressful time, whether they were working or not. And then for us to bring them back, put them through these learning sessions, and then say, okay, now get to it. Mind you, I will tell you that I'm pleased with the approach that we took in terms of time and patience, and we gave them the time, in my opinion, that they needed to be able to do this work with kids. So the words, I don't have the words to adequately thank them, because the level of respect that I have and the appreciation that we as a district have for their work, it's unparalleled. And it's not, and I don't speak only of teachers. I speak of support workers. I speak of custodians. I speak of people in the maintenance, everybody. If I start rattling off a list of employees of the school district, I will surely miss someone. So I hesitate to do that, other than to say that my gratitude is beyond words for the work that they have done.
Yeah, that's I agree with you on that. I think parents are very patient as well, appreciative. I know when the kids were going to be staying home after spring break and they had no idea when they were going to get back, I said that there's you can add the word quarantine in front of everything. So I said parents might need quarantine wine and quarantine beer after all this is said and done. But I mean, just to have patience.
No comment, Ryan.
Well, Janet, I can tell you that if it was an easy job, everybody would do it. And sometimes it's just nice to be recognized and to have someone say thank you. So, Janet, I want to say thank you to you and for the job that you are doing, because I know it's not easy. I know every day you wake up, you think about it. You're probably going to bed, you're thinking about it before you go to bed. So, Janet, I want to thank you for all the work that you're doing.
Thank you, Ryan. I appreciate that.
And thank you for taking the time to speak with me today.
No problem.
And there you have it. That was my conversation with Janet Meyer, the acting superintendent for School District 82, which is the Coast Mountains Board of Education. And you can see lots of stuff's been going on. She just can't believe that any of this stuff is happening. And of course, they've had to adjust at a quick, lightning quick speed. And she gave a shout out to all the teachers, all the staff, all from the custodians all the way up to everybody as part of the school district, that they've reacted and stepped up just amazingly. And you heard in 4 weeks they've converted to online schooling. Are you kidding? I mean, that would have taken, like they said, I think it would take a year, maybe up to 2 years to do something like that. They did it in 4 weeks. So a big thank you to all the teachers, all the staff of School District 82. And a big thank you to Janet for taking the time to come and speak with me on my show today. I know the role that she's in. A lot of times you don't get thanks, and you actually get told what you're doing wrong all the time. So I just wanted to make sure that Janet knows that I was thankful for the role she's playing and the job she's doing. So thank you again, Janet. I really appreciate it. You're doing a great job. Keep up with the work that you're doing. For more information, you can go to the School District 82 website. Go to CMSD, like Coast Mountain School District, .bc.ca. So that's cmsd.bc.ca. I hope you enjoyed that conversation.
This has been Journeys with Ryan Frank. Join us next time for more conversations about culture and the issues affecting First Nations people in BC. Brought to you by Prince Rupert Port Authority, linking a world of opportunity. Online, rupertport.com.